Chill.
Welcome back to
Hey everybody,
VFX
and welcome
Chill.
to VFX and Chill. Oh, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, well, you know what,
Anyway.
everybody? We both talked first. And ladies and gentlemen, it's VFX and Chill with Hashi and Seth. I'm the titular Seth. This is the titular Hashi. And here's the titillating Michael Solapsky. Thank you. That was a very good response to my rhetoric.
It was a very good intro.
We are very,
Excellent.
very
Michael, it is
excited.
great to have you back after your week at the Camp Mograph.
Look at that
Represent.
shirt. Man. And
Yep,
once
I was
again,
at Camp Mograph. If you ever have the chance to go, folks, highly recommend. It's the chillest, just the chillest experience. Everyone at camp, even if they're motion design superstar, is just like a normal human who is just sitting there by the campfire hanging out, and you can just chat with them like they're a normal person, because everyone at camp is a normal person, and it is great.
a camp full of motion
Incredible.
graphics artists are all normal people. That's fantastic. to
I
hear.
mean, normal if you normalize normal to very nerdy motion graphics
Yeah,
artists.
if you
But,
move
like,
your middle to
no
motion
one's got
graphics camp,
egos.
yes.
No one's got egos, is what I'm saying. It's very chill.
Everyone that I know that goes are people that I love. So I don't know why I've never gone. Probably because I'm not a motion graphics artist by default. Also because it was on Friday the 13th this year, and I have a strict rule that I don't go to campsites on Friday the 13th. But Michael is fearless. And speaking of fearless, Hashi, how are you?
I am doing very well. I am excited about today's topic because we are covering what we're imagining about this cool movie called Mickey 17,
Yes.
which is an exciting new. Oh, you got it right there. Great.
Yeah,
An
it's
exciting, Bong Joon Ho
joint.
thriller. I default to Seth, to the person who has read this book.
I have. Did everyone know that Seth reads books? It's true.
Seth reads
Yeah.
books.
Seth reads books. I don't know why I didn't make that drop. I really need to make it where like a book just rises up in front of me in my feed, and like birds
Yes.
fly around and read to me. So this book is essentially about this guy Mickey who goes to this off-world colony where resources are scarce, and
So basically, Steamboat Willie enters the public domain, and minutes later,
and this
Bong
happens.
Joon Ho was all over it.
So I want you to say that about everything. I want you to be like any movie plot that is told to you, I want you to go. So basically, Steamboat Willie enters the royalty. So the basic concept is I forgot the term for it, but he volunteers to be to play a role in this colony where if there's ever a job to be done in which it is very likely you could be killed or horribly maimed, you will do that job, because if anything happens to you, you die, a clone of you is immediately printed and to replace you. And it's like backed up. I mean, think like hard drive backups. It's like he's backing up his like memories and all his brain essentially as often as possible, so that the clone is made from the most recent backup. And then the inciting incident of the story is that he survives one incident that everyone thinks he does not survive, and he comes home to find his clone there. And so now there are multiples, and there are big like consequences within the society of multiples. They're not allowed to exist, and there's a conspiracy at play, and it's very comedy forward, the book, almost too comedy forward at times, but it's very fun. I got very excited when I found out Bong Joon Ho was making it, and really interested when I heard that Robert Pattinson was playing Mickey, the various Mickeys. What I love is this voice. I don't want to play audio on here because we tend to get kicked off of things, like if I play this trailer for too long or play audio from it. But look up the trailer. Robert Pattinson is making a choice with the voice that I am all on board for. It's very fun.
I love it. We were talking about this off the show, how it feels like if you're like a Daniel Radcliffe for Robert Pattinson, who
Yes.
became, a superstar for one specific role. I love their choice to just embrace doing ridiculous character work and like
Yes.
anything to bust out of that. 'Cause
Radcliffe
it's fun.
is such a good example because if you haven't seen the movie Weird, the Al Yankovic story, the Al Yankovic movie, everyone go watch that movie even if you've seen it. It's absolutely spectacularly like funny, and especially once Radcliffe enters, his performance in that is unreal. Like not just compared to, like, oh, that's Harry Potter doing this, but just as a performance alone is so freaking great and worth watching. Anyway, I agree with you. This is a very fun performance, and and a very fun career we're getting to watch in Robert Pattinson. So, Hashi, we've done clones before.
We
What
have,
do
and
we
yeah,
wanna do
I know
today?
that clones could get repetitive in a way, but they do keep on coming up with really fun and exciting. And what I like about this is it's so effortless looking for all of these very silly slapstick clone moments in this trailer. And do watch it. It is pretty fun. So yes, we have definitely talked about clones on the show before. Specifically, one of our episodes, I think, has multiplicity in the title there. And we do a handful of things there to try something like that. And I think that we promised you online, if you're one of our viewers here watching, that we wanted to introduce the idea of a chill challenge.
Yes.
And I feel like we might as well mention it right up at the top. First off, one of the housekeeping things that I forgot to do is if you're one of the many people watching this show right now on the Red Giant YouTube channel or the Maxon channel or the Maxon Training Team channel, we would love very much if you would take a small moment and switch on over to the VFX and Chill channel. The address is right there on the bottom of the screen, and it's possible that there might even be links in the description this time around. But we would love you to come join us here because we have it's the chat that I can see out loud during the show. Michael can see all of your comments no matter what channel you're on, but I can see you if you're over here on our VFX and Chill channel. So we would love you to be over here. That would be really, really cool. And I cut myself off with this comment, but earlier we were talking about a chill challenge, and we think that it would be fun to see what kinds of clone shots you can make. Whether you've made one in the past and you're like, oh, I made a kind of fun clone thing where I was using, duplicating an actor, send in your favorite clip from that. Or if you want to do what Seth and I are going to do today, I think we were going to spontaneously come up with this, but I've jumped right into it, Seth.
Oh, I'm actually glad you did because it's good just to get people going on it. Keep going. Keep explaining it. I'm going to make some imagery.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this trailer features a handful of scenes where,
Death check Slack.
there are two Robert Pattinsons lying on cots next to each other with a blanket draped between them. There's one where he is running away from himself and he throws like a soup can or something to hit himself in the head here. Basically, yeah, clone hijinks are lots of fun, and it's always fun to see what people can do. And you may have encountered this in your VFX work in the past, and we certainly have for a couple of things. Seth, I know that you did a lot for old new in terms of things that are out there that people have seen. You even did in your old home videos, like pre-clone technology, Evil Seth versus
Oh my God, I forgot about that. I hate that you know that. That's upsetting.
Incredible stuff. But yeah, we would love for you to share any that you have made before or something that you make fresh for the show. And Seth, I'm going to challenge the two of us. I think that we should both attempt over the next week, try to film our own clone shot where we have to. Should it be ourselves? Does it need to be ourselves? To be on brand,
I don't know
would
if
that
it
make
needs
sense?
to be ourselves, but I'm probably gonna because I'm great, so I'm just gonna film myself.
Perfect.
Now, We're calling this
It'd be
the
really helpful
VFX
if I
and
knew
clone.
identical twins
Seth,
that were
Seth, the problem
performers or
is-
something like that, so I could really just fool everybody.
Yeah.
But
Seth, the main problem with you making these kind of jokes about how great you are is that before, maybe people thought you weren't great, and so it was funny that you were calling yourself great. But now that you're
Yeah,
like,
those people.
a raved about filmmaker, perhaps people will
All
think that
right.
you actually think you are great because you are great.
Okay, Michael, listen to me. I know you think it's funny to
That
make
was a
puns,
very long compliment.
and I
by
know
the
I
way.
think it's. I know you think it's funny to make puns, and I know you think it's nice of you to compliment me. But Michael, I have one thing to say to you. It was the wrong button I pushed. It's this.
Damn it, Michael!
But pretend he said thank you, because you're very sweet.
incredible. I'm going to re-share my screen.
I am going to just real quick put this back up. So the VFX and Clone Challenge.
Send in the clones.
Go to maxonvfx.com/chillbox. That is our suggestion box. That's like our suggestion box. And if you and submit your clone thing there. In fact, why did we say? Do we want them to be do it as a VFX and grill, or what did we say?
I think the way that you can submit a shot to us. So I might
Tell you
load
what.
up over here.
Yeah, I'm gonna let's go to your screen, and then I'm gonna real quick see if I can edit that site real quick to make a official like clone submission thing.
Ooh,
And hello,
look at that.
F-Actors.
I like that.
F-Actor Visuals official from watching from Portugal. Hello, nice
Hi,
to see you. Hey,
Portugal.
folks in the chat, let us
All right,
let us
so
know
Seth
where
is
you're
going to
watching
modify this. Yeah, currently, if you like, just in general, if you have a cool VFX shot that you've made and are proud of, you can send it to our suggestion box. You can go right here to submission type and say VFX and grill submission. Maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. Right there, and then send us a link to a cool shot that you've made, and we'll grab it and ingest it for our show to talk about. Put your name right here. It's what we'll call you on the show, and any other notes that you want us to know about your shot, like, oh, I made this 20 years ago, or I just filmed it this weekend with my family, or whatever it is. But yeah, we love seeing what the community is creating out there, because the community is awesome. And speaking of...
There are some
Yeah,
suggestions in the chat for things to call it. Frigby Chillweather says, way early on said it should be a challenge, not a challenge. And some nice.
I thought about challenge.
A chill cook-off.
I didn't like saying it.
Like, a chili cook-off, but a chill cook-off.
Though we could have had our mascot who was like the challenge chinchilla.
Oh, so that'd be great. Hey,
Man.
Kebulon is watching from Kampala, Uganda. Hello, Uganda.
Hello,
Welcome.
Uganda.
Kebulon. Is
Thank
it
you so
Kebulon?
much.
I'm so sorry for pronouncing it wrong, but it sounds like an awesome name.
Hashi, refresh
love
that
it.
page.
Oh, watch this. Okay, refresh. Do.
So now if you
Okay,
want to submit
submission
something,
type, VFX and clone submission. Whoops, it's the bottom of the page there. VFX and clone. Love it. All right,
click
Peas,
that.
do
I
that,
hope
and
you
you can
feel
share
better soon.
something with us.
I hope you feel better soon, Dances for Peas. And Thejas Prem Singh wants us to make a clone tutorial. Well,
we've done it before.
check previous episodes.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a VFX and chill multiplicity episode that we talk about it, and I'm nearly positive we did some other clone centric episode. I don't remember if it was for Loki or for something. Anyway,
What was it for?
Well, the multiplicity, the link to the multiplicity episode, which you can watch after this show ends, is now in the chat. And I also want to say that Tyler Adams suggests that we should call this a competition, which is it
that's
would be
pretty
if there were prizes.
well, too
like
late.
it.
I branded it already. So
it's branded, everyone. And I think that we can maybe we can switch to something else. We'll mention this again before the end of the show, just in case you missed this cool announcement of something you can try out. Yeah, back to this
I
exciting
might
Mickey
do-
17 trailer.
I might work on.
I think that we want to we want to recreate some shots from this.
Yeah, I
I'm
might
just going
work
to scroll
on
through at
a
this
clone
shutter
shot.
speed of
I might work on a
look
clone
at
shot
Ruffalo
today.
just ruffaloing out right here.
Are you able to hear me, Hash? You've talked over me and Michael both, and I don't know if you can hear us.
I just like talking over you both.
Well, it's nice for a change to have someone else do it, not just me. No, I think I might do to recreate the can throwing shot, which I've got right here on my end.
Oh, excellent. Nice. Can you play that for us?
Yeah, just this great shot of Robert Pattinson throwing a can or a bottle or something at his head.
I'm looking forward to this movie so much.
I know, me too. What's great about this is it's got a rack focus in it, and it's got
the rack focus nails the
yeah. And so real quick, I've talked about this before on another episode where we did cloning stuff, and you're right, there was another episode that wasn't just cloning stuff. I think it was the John Wick episode, and I say that because I know that that episode got canceled. By YouTube because it featured a commercial I did that was featured in another thing that was copyrighted.
Oh, yeah.
And in that episode, so I'm sure this stuff is actually in the special edition that you made. If you want to look for the John Wick special edition episode on our YouTube channel. But I talk about how on Old New, I did a shot. Well, Harry Frank and I both worked on that shot of a bunch of my brother Bex, or my now sister Bex, all like filling a bunch of clones of them filling the frame, and did that with. And I also did this other commercial that got us in trouble with a Kessler Cinedrive motion control system that allowed us to program the dolly, pan, tilt, and focus. I could program the whole move so it had multiple rack focuses in it. And so that's what I think of when I look at this. It's like I could pull out the Cinedrive system, and I haven't opened it. I haven't used it in years. But I don't think I need to. I think I can pull off this shot with a locked off camera and just animate this little tilt up and add the rack focus afterward in post. And I just have to look as handsome as Robert Pattinson. So I'm going to go away for a while. And actually, I can't go away. I'm literally going to shoot this plate, so you're going to see my camera as I go do this. Or no, I'll shoot it with my phone.
To the surprise of no one, the link to the banned episode of John Wick, now recut with added special features, is in the chat.
Woohoo!
Woohoo!
And we revived. We pulled it out of the clutches of the...
Delulo says the infinite staircase was miraculous.
It was.
Oh, thank you.
And Justin Levick says this show should be called VFX and Seth, the type of guy to wiggle his fingers and say, "Don't mind if I do," before picking a donut.
It's true.
See, the thing is that gets cut off when when it gets the notifications go out. So we've got to be concise.
To be concise. So.
Otherwise, it'll just go out as a notification. VFX and chill, the type of guy to wiggle.
And that's not what we want going into people's minds.
Wiggling is just for when we take a tracking break.
Did you say track it?
Track it.
What's funny is there's no way to turn this one off. It just goes in a loop until I find the button, which I'm realizing I did not put in the new Stream Deck setup that I have, so I need to quickly find it. At least we have something we can do while we wait for me to find it. There it is. Found it. So, Hash, I'm really curious what you're doing. What are you doing?
Well, speaking of wiggling your fingers, I want to share this right here. There's one shot that opens up the that exciting trailer, and spoiler alert for the second shot of the trailer. Let's see. Let me play it right here. We have.
Oh, you got this thing up already. Nice.
So I'll mute that. So we meet Robert and immediately find out that the situation that he's in frequently causes mortal peril of sorts. So I saw this shot and it tickled me. I thought it was kind of funny because it's very unexpected as the second shot of of a show. So it's lovely shot here. We've got this beautiful POV looking at this space glove right before a bit of space debris comes and lobs the hand off. What I'm guessing happens is that the amount of force that hits this glove, apologies for the violence here, I would imagine that because you've have this, all spacesuits have incredible engineering around being able to turn your wrist, which is really cool. But I'm guessing that ends up becoming kind of a guillotine of sorts when a piece of space debris separates this directly at the joint, causing the metal.
I love that you've thought this through as to how the severance happened, whereas I'm just like, yeah, thing cut his hand off. The space thing.
Thing cut his hand off.
Space
so I thought that I wanted to try recreating this shot, and I'll show you because I think that I kind of did. Here's my rare, I can show at the beginning of the episode, recreation.
Look at that. That's yours? That's nuts, dude.
This is mine. Woohoo!
That's like, I would, if you could have cut it in the trailer, I wouldn't have noticed. That's crazy.
Wild. So I thought we could go over this. A surprising amount of dumb little pieces of work went into this, and I'm pretty proud of it. So, Seth, I know that you're going to film plates. I can start taking people on a magical mystery tour journey of how I got here.
Digital magic.
You're right, George. Oh, look,
Excellent.
It's right there, waiting for you.
It was very obvious that one of the first things I needed was a
Thanos's
lovely model of a space glove. And luckily, Adriano Milanovic had this amazing lunar the Apollo 11 lunar extravehicular gloves. So I loved the amount of detail on this. They have really good topology. They even have like stitching, which is wild because I looked at several other astronaut kind of gloves first to potentially use, but this one ended up being just right. So thank you very much, Andriano. And now I can move on to my first step in Cinema 4D was bringing in this model. And for the, for them to drive the vehicles, they have this very wide sleeve that's, working with a whole, I don't know how space works, but I did know that this hand and glove felt too wide and bloated, and I really wanted it to look more just like a tighter, modern movie space glove.
Michael, did you grow up, Michael, singing "Wide and Bloated, Wide and Bloated"? There's a fountain flowing wide and bloated, like I did.
I mean, close, but okay. I seem to recall the lyrics being deep and wide.
That makes more sense than wide and bloated, but every denomination its own. Hashi, I'm sorry I railroaded you for that.
No, it was for a good cause. It was to
the Lord
to make fun of bloated gloves. So, so the easiest thing that I could think of to do was because the glove is made up of several pieces of topology, and let me show you these maps. By the way, look how great this is. It's beautiful.
Pretty great.
Pretty great. So I just threw in a taper object and threw it upside down and was able to sort of make it into a slightly more hand, traditional glove shape. But then it was missing that little ring here. And so then I kind of went to a handful of other...
A handful.
Let me see if I can find one of my steps along the way. Here's one where I recolored it a little bit. I just wanted to have it be white pretty much like in the trailer. And then I must have made it a little bit later to a step where I started to build some cuffs onto this thing. So I believe that I found these machine parts in the asset browser, and I don't even remember what they are from. They are from, I think one is if you look up hardware, and one is a ring from like around a coffee pot.
Do you know what it reminds me of, by the way, looking at that hand that you got? It reminds me of the hand car wash in North Hollywood. I know I've talked about this on the show.
Ah, yes.
Because it is
We should
absolutely one of
animate
my
that sign
favorite
sometime.
one of my favorite
be fun.
American things ever made. Just what a brilliant choice to have your hand car wash be represented by a giant hand.
And to color the posts that structurally hold up your sign the same color as the flesh, so it's just a confusing mass.
Exactly. Well, what confuses me is that it's named, like this sign right here, my immediate assumption is that hand pre-existed and the car wash was built around it and named after it. That hand was like native to California. To the environment.
And your second perception is that this is actually a restaurant, and you'd be very disappointed when you arrive.
When you walk in and you're eating soap. It's back to you, Hash.
So I was able to just cobble all of this stuff together, and
hey Jamie.
Now we have a glove sort of fixed to one side. Whew. Hi Jamie.
Jamie.
So we have this lovely glove that I can now animate and do some stuff with. When I first set this up, I thought maybe I don't need any actual wiggling fingers, but then I feel like non-wiggling fingers just seem too much like a prop, and so I ended up wasting even more time to go in here and quickly throw in a little hand skeleton like that, so I could do some animation on this thing. And I'm happy that I did, because here is my more final shot with a few things in here, and I feel like just that little teeny bit of seeing the fingers
that
roll
little bit of detail really
nice.
It feels a lot better. And Onion, to answer your question, look at the title of the episode. I'm just kidding. We're doing we're doing shots from the Mickey 17 trailer, and Hashi is working on where a hand gets chopped off. Again, it's not much of a spoiler. It's like the second shot in the trailer. But in the trailer, hand gets chopped off. We're very excited with Mickey 17 because the trailer looks awesome. So we're playing with it this week and next week.
So I was going to, let me see if I can show off just the, I've nested these all in a handful of things here.
You gotta quit.
If you select something in the object menu, you can press O to center it in the viewport. So let me turn off whatever. So this little animation of the hand, I just have this little finger roll. I learned that that type of animation from a DreamWorks artist who was animating, I think, a snake. And this I thought was wild. So I'm going to share a weird animation tip with everybody. So say you have this hand and you want to do a cool little roll of the fingers or something, or I was taught this on a snake. If you want a snake's body to move very smoothly, one end to the other, what you can actually do is if you go to your object, and you can see that I have all of these the bones right here. Let me open up my dope sheet so you can kind of see all of these in here. I'll tell this to match my selection over here. Oops. Oh, I haven't turned on keyframing for them. Let's add a keyframe right here for all of these joints. And now I think I can automatically show them. There we go. So now these fingers are all open like that. Then I can scroll forward to, say, I don't know, frame 15. And I'll select all of the non-opposable fingers right here. I'll select all of those joints like that. Go to my rotation tool. And right after you've clicked on the rotate tool, over here in the attributes for the actual tool itself, there's a box right here that you can check that says per object transformation. And what's really nice about that is, let me make this a little bit bigger. If I just kind of grab and rotate abstractly within the screen, it's going to rotate each of these limbs or bones like that, which is kind of cool. So you can rotate them all to close together or open together. I think I fixed the weights on this, which I guess I could show as well. But what I really wanted to show off now was that, if you roll them all a little bit closed like this and then create another keyframe, now you have open, closed, and then here in the dope sheet, you can hold down Control and copy the closed, the open again. So now what they'll all do is they'll go, whoop. What have I done? There we go, sorry. So now they do this. They all close and open. Neat. And here's the fun, magical part. Now, if you click on the root
Digital
for any of
magic.
these fingers right here, you can do something like this. I can take the index finger and or actually I would want it to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to grab the pinky finger and I'm just going to slide it left. So it goes first. And then I'm going to slide the ring finger a little bit past it. And then I'm going to put the index finger just a little bit offset like that. And now I have this nice little finger roll. Isn't that cute?
It is cute.
I just like doing little animations like this because clearly it's every finger just doing that. But you can set all of the keyframes for open and all the keyframes for closed kind of at once. And I love this method in general. So anyway, that's a little animation tip from old Hashi. Seth, how's it going over there?
Good. I was just setting up my screen down in the corner so you can keep working and people can just see whatever the hell I'm doing. This is my feed from my phone down here in the corner.
I love that almost looks like you, like
imitating
your speech
you.
box. Like, what you need is that box to be higher, so it's next to you, and so it looks like your hand is reaching up.
Right, 100%. Hang on.
I'm gonna screen the whole show to a little higher, I think.
A little higher. Oh, it's not even showing up anymore. Oh, there it is.
Look at this. Look at this magic trick.
Hello.
Whoa.
Digital magic.
It's true, George.
Nowhere else do you get this level of amazingness. So, yeah, incredible.
That's actually very
Incredible.
satisfying. Sorry, I can't get over how fun this is. Okay,
This is amazing.
back down.
We can
here.
produce a whole show that works like this. All right. So so getting back to this, I also have this amazing space station prop that is from, I should find out. Apologies while I look up something that I meant to have pulled up ahead of time. This is a space station called the 1,300 Followers Celebration Space Station, also from Sketchfab by One Monson. Very, very cool. I just like that it feels like kind of a kit-bashed looking thing. I didn't even need it to be super detailed, but I just wanted something in the background that gave me a little bit of detail there. And as soon as all of these things were together, I had a handful of I'm going to keep on saying this, and it's not meant.
You're on fire.
I'm sorry, everyone. So I decided I wanted to, mimic the animation, so I've got that little finger roll that we did earlier. I'm also able to, I kind of grouped the glove and hand as this one group like that, and I grouped the lower arm kind of by itself so I could keyframe it. Then I have a rotate arm null that is way down here. Let me see if I can, down here. So it'll sort of rotate kind of where the elbow might be from off screen or whatever as a control point. And then when the hand gets taken out by that chunk, I knew that I wanted it to start spinning around, its central axis for that. And it doesn't do this in a strict physics way. It's a little bit more artistic because in the trailer, I guess if I cut to the main shot, what you really want is, sorry, you can see some of the blood, which I will get to. I'll get to the blood. Also, content warning for space blood. We've got right here, there's this great hit. Whoops. Sorry, I heard a chat noise, and I didn't know where it came from.
Yeah, it happens whenever you accidentally screenshot stuff occasionally.
Oh, nice. Someday we'll do we need to do a slideshow of all of our accidental screen grabs because it's just because we accidentally, put Skype to the front and pressed Control S or something like that. Anyway, what was I saying? Right at this point, there's sort of this moment to show the hand detaching, but then I think for the sake of the making this a glamorous shot, you want it to then spin the severed end toward you for a second, so you can see this little splatter of blood kind of spray out in this direction. So for the most part, I tried to keep it a kind of consistent rotation when that came off, but wanted to make sure that its initial rotation did that little bit. And so the little trick that I learned for this part is I had already grouped my hand object to rotate kind of from down here at the wrist and be able to move it on the glove like that. And so if I rotate around this center, it kind of works, but it doesn't feel like the actual center of mass of this whole thing. And so I ended up animating this little null called the hand taker that would start more actually right in the middle of the hand and then just take it away in a perfectly linear path because we're in space. So it goes straight away in this linear path, and if I rotate that null, it's rotating around what looks more like the center of mass of that hand. Now, one thing that I ran into, and I'm glad I understand now, was I think I even saved it at this stage so I could share this with you. Okay, so right around here, I had the hand and the glove, and they're. Whoops! I've done what I meant to not do. I wanted to parent this already animated hand to another object that was in the center of it, but when I would parent it, just as you saw here, I would drag it in to become a child of it. And then as soon as I started to move, you would see the animation jump to a new location like that. Because its keyframe properties are obviously in relation to wherever it used to be parented to. So now it's in the incorrect spot. So
you're wrong.
Only the other day did I learn that if you want to, for example, regroup something, like say I want this hand animation, I'll create a new null. I'm going to copy the position of, let's see, let's go to this wider view and see where I've created this null. Oh, perfect. It is actually pretty centered. Yeah, if you had a new null like this that you wanted to parent this hand to, if I drag the glove right now, sorry, I'm remembering how to navigate everything. I drag the glove and hand that have some keyframes on them into there, it pops to a new location that is relative to whatever its previous parent was. Hello? Oh my goodness, everybody.
Who do we have?
It's Sophia.
Sophia?
Hello, Sophia.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Welcome.
You did it. How are you doing?
Good.
Excellent.
Hey, while
Sophia
Hashi-
walked
while Hashi's
all the way
doing
back
that-
from school
No.
all by themselves today, which is really
Actually,
exciting.
Probably the first time I've done that.
Amazing.
Incredible.
And you did it. I'm proud of you. So well done.
What are you guys making?
Oh, nothing. We're definitely not doing. Nothing violent will happen to this hand.
You are totally.
Okay. Well, yeah. If you're just catching up with us, this is a shot from the Mickey 17 trailer where an astronaut is learning what can happen when you encounter space debris traveling at a very high rate.
And
Mickey Mouse in space?
Yes.
Mickey in space.
Same thing. And on this side, we're seeing what happens when one clone throws something at another clone.
Bloodshed and violence.
Just so you guys know, I have a suggestion.
What's your suggestion?
Blood comes out, but icicle because space.
Ooh, that's a good idea. Freezing blood.
Yeah.
Ooh, freezing blood. I'm all about freezing blood.
You could make the blood come out and go in that spiral, but stay in the spiral.
Oh my gosh.
Because space
hardcore.
Space does freeze stuff. Excellent. Well, we'll continue. If you wanna watch along, you too. Also, you're free to just go chill.
Some nice says you've heard of Hand Solo.
Damn it, Michael!
And while we're at it, MI Motive says you guys stream every day or every so often. We tend to stream on Fridays, mostly Fridays. Most Fridays, as a matter of fact. So there you go.
Yes,
and,
we do. Yeah, please
Serious
join us. We
Sam
always like to
is
cover
asking what we use for our rendering. Redshift, mostly.
Redshift, yeah. So I can cover that in just a little bit here. This Seth, it is tremendously exciting to see, to watch you shopping through your plates right there.
It's fun. Let me do a quick mask and split screen. I feel like I've got the timing down. What? Okay. That was a weird thing. So it'll be ba-boom.
Nice.
And
You look so excited to be.
I know. I'll be hitting myself with a Spalding high bounce ball, which West Wing fans will know as the same brand of ball that Toby
there you go.
throws in his office because I'm a nerd.
This is delightful. I feel like you've stumbled upon a security monitor and are like, that guy behind me looks an awful lot like me. And then bang. Exactly at this moment of realization, you're hit. That is fun.
So let's see. All right. So what about you? What's going on with you?
Mesmerizing. All right. I can go back to blabbing a little bit about this. Oh, yeah. I think I was going to show you that, say you wanted to move this glove and hand that already have all the animation on them to be set in this thing. I honestly didn't know that you could highlight the object that you want to move there and then run this set parent command. I think it's a button, too, if you wanted to dock this as a button into your interface, but it's the set parent command. I pressed Shift-C to open my commander, and then I can double-click here, and now you can see that my mouse became a little pointer, so I can click on null 2, and it moves it to here. And the benefit is now it's parented to this other object, but it doesn't jump because it has a new relative position. It uses its global animated position. Isn't that neat?
It's so neat.
Hopefully that wasn't too convoluted and too spread out. But yeah, there are often situations where you want to parent an already animated thing to something else. And when you do it, everything gets a little bit messed up and you have to try to readjust. But if you use the set parent command, which again, Shift-C to the commander and say set parent, or I might even take this and put it onto my Cinema 4D interface, which, by the way, did you know you can do?
What?
You can just open up something in the commander and drag it over to be a button.
What?
For example, I realized that I was always using things like
that's nuts.
The mesh warp brush and the axis center tool And so I just made them buttons right here in my startup
Can I say how
layout.
stupid it is that we didn't know that?
Very, very stupid. The fun part about this, especially if you're someone new watching the show, I know people are asking about when we stream. The two of us are on a learning journey, I think, through all of Cinema 4D and all of Maxon 1, really.
A learning and
exciting.
forgetting again and relearning journey.
That's the best part about being forgetful is that, as the new seasons come around, you can recycle storylines of like, how did you do this again? Goodness. I've lost myself. So back in this old thing, I don't know if I need to get into the details. People understand it's a 3D animation, right?
Yeah.
I
I understand.
parented the hand to suddenly get taken straight away by that little rotate. And then I also realized I needed a piece of space debris to come hit the hand. I don't know what it'll be in the movie. Maybe it'll make more sense, or maybe it won't. Maybe it's just like, hey, we're moving in toward a space debris thing. Look out. But pretty cool. The way I found that was just I clicked on Asset Browser and I typed rock. And then Stone 3. Stone 3 was a pretty
Seth
good
Stone 3
rock-looking
Whirly.
rock. Heck yeah. And it came with its own redshift material. What didn't come with their own redshift materials were these, was the glove here. It came with, standard like PBR kind of things. And because it came in through the Sketchfab importer, it put all of the color information as the reflectance channel, which can confuse redshift right away. So what you basically have to do is you go and you grab a material like this, and then you can, right in the commander, you can say convert, and you can either convert all materials, convert one material. For example, I'll say convert material. And when you double click on that, you have the option to switch it to, you have the option to convert it, and you have the option to convert and replace its usage, which is cool. So let me run that one more time. Convert materials, and then I'll say just convert, but don't replace. And you'll see that this is what the old material looked like. This is what the new one looks like when it got converted to Redshift. It's an annoying Sketchfab thing. That means that if you double click on your Redshift texture, you'll see that it built a little, node chart where what's getting fed into the Redshift color input, what's getting fed into the Redshift material thing is the reflection color, but not any actual material color here. So I had to go to all of these, and you go and you add a base color input, and I just plugged that in, and I actually deleted the connection from that. And now the base color from the original is feeding into the base color of the Redshift material, but the weight was automatically set to 0 because there was none. So now I'm going to turn it back up. And now you'll see finally my texture resembles itself. Neat. And then once that was done for kind of all of these materials, it was time to add in some lighting. I don't remember how early on I started trying to light this, but pretty early on. I added I've been talking for a very long time.
No, I mean, not long enough to trigger the thing.
Didn't even check in with anyone.
No. Trust me. I'm working away over here. In fact, I'll put my screen up side by side with yours just to make sure.
Perfect. Look at that. Thank you. So what did we add here? Let's see. I wonder if we could even recreate it all. Actually, never mind. I'm just going to do a rundown, whatever. I added a couple of different lights in here. I added a Redshift infinite light. And you can do that by going right here, and you can choose infinite light. And the fun thing about an infinite light is that its position doesn't matter. You can basically take it and rotate it around. So I'll show you, for example, what it looks like. Redshift. I'm going to start the little renderer here. I did too many things. This is my failing. 1 second. Take over for a moment, Seth, unless we need to take a break.
You know what? Yeah, let's take a break real quick. We'll be right back.
You're impossibly fast and strong. And sometimes you speak like you're from a different time. You know what you are?
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're doing a Robert Pattinson themed episode of VFX and Chill. We are looking at the Mickey 17 trailer that came out this week. I am trying to recreate the spirit of this shot, in which Robert Pattinson throws an object at Robert Pattinson and Robert Pattinson falls. And so I am throwing a Spalding ball at myself. And I have shot 2 plates, a foreground me that I've rotor-brushed into the background me. I've faked throwing a ball, and now I have a still of this ball that I am animating real quick to... I mean, it's going to be fast. I honestly probably only need a frame for like one frame.
I was saying when you were trying to adjust your clips there, it felt intense.
Yeah.
Amazing. So over on my side, I was before I often have 2 instances of Cinema 4D open at the same time, and in this case, I also had my After Effects and Premiere open at the same time. And apparently, you're supposed to be better at managing memory than that, but I'm not. So now that my GPU has a little bit more space on it, here is how this looks when I just add some of my lights to it. Let me turn off some of these and we'll look at them independently. I think, let's see, here's what we got. So here's my Redshift Infinite Light. And it is space, so if there is something that is supposed to be, sourced from the sun or whatever, it really is supposed to be, one infinite light. One of the things you look for in a space render is that everything has one shadow, one parallel shadow, as opposed to maybe a couple of different opposing shadows, unless you have a really strong light source that people understand is hitting your object. Now, I wanted the background to kind of fall into kind of this blurry, spaceship morass. And so what I did is I created a null object that I called focus right here. And then I went over to my Redshift camera. On my Redshift camera, here under optical, I went down and said the depth of field will have a focus object. You can just drag whatever object you want here into the focus, and it'll do a distance between the camera and that object. And then if you set your aperture and shutter angle, and I chose movie settings for my motion blur here, now I get this lovely, bokeh effect. You can see that I checked bokeh, obviously. So without it, here's what my render looked like before. And then when I checked bokeh, I went with a bladed shape with a 5-sided one. I just think that that's kind of fun looking. And so here we get this. There's one infinite light on there. And then I ended up actually duplicating the infinite light and creating a spotlight. I kept the spotlight pointing in the same direction and same location. So it's enhancing my unidirectional light a little bit. But I was able to take the cone angle and fall off angle. And you can sort of see if I turn the cone angle up, it gets wider and hits more of the space station behind it, but I didn't want the space station to be that bright. And so if I narrowed the angle down, I have it pointed right at the glove. And so it gives a little bit more to the glove. And it also, if I switch to a side view, it's putting a lot of light on this part of the space station. And the reason that that's important is because it's contributing to the global illumination of the glove on this side. So watch when I turn the spotlight off. It does more than just add to the rims here. It actually is bouncing that light up at the glove like this, because there would be a lot of reflected light off of a metallic surface onto your object. So that's what I did. Another contributor to these lights, and I'm so sorry I didn't mention it earlier, is a dome light. I actually happen to be using this fun image right here, which is a, let me see if I can make it bigger. It's just available right here in the asset browser under HDRIs. You can kind of scroll through a handful of things like that. For the space station one, I know that space is really, not much environmental light coming at you. And so I chose this, what is it called? It's the ZBrush Exterior Barcelona or something like that. And I like that because it has a dark sky up at the top, but like a lit parking lot kind of. And so when I have this dome light in here, I can turn up its intensity so you can kind of imagine what it's doing. It just adds a little teeny bit of like blue cast to everything and a little bit of cast from below. But what it also contributes to is these reflective bands can respond to it as well. Then I was looking at the original shot and I was like, it doesn't look enough like it. And so I added another spotlight that lights up some part of the dead space over there and another area light that does the same, that gives you a little bit more color here in the background. And then once all that was done, I ended up moving over into After Effects, which I have closed for memory preservation purposes. So kind of fun.
Very fun.
I'm so new to Redshift in a way that I'm always very happy when I can get something decent out of it. But while I open up After Effects, you want to show us how you're doing there?
Yeah, I am just masking out this beam here so it goes in front of, so the ball goes behind it. This is where I'm currently at. And I throw it. Boom.
Oh, long sleeve Seth. Such a jerk.
Such a jerk.
Wait, is it bounce? Wait. Boom. Does it bounce off your head and hit the ceiling?
Yeah, it hits the ceiling. I'm not sure if it's the right trajectory, but it bounces off my head, hits the ceiling, then hits the floor, and then back around. Over
That's great.
I like that. It's very bouncy.
It's a
I feel like we
bouncy
should
ball.
have a little bit of debris coming off the ceiling, like.
That's fun.
Like
That's a
just
very
a little dust
VFX-y
hit.
thing, but you're right. I should do it just because I love dust.
Just a little dust hit.
If I learned anything from like 3 or 4 years of doing action movie kids, is that everything needs to look like it's covered in 4 inches of dust.
Yes. And when you see Sketch,
anything
when
ever
everybody sees
happens.
Sketch, you'll also know, those who have seen Sketch, now I can say,
Those who have seen it.
are very aware of my love for dust, especially in that movie. Let's see.
See, I think. Yeah, so are these characters before about to make a feature film, Seth, and
Yes.
has already
Just
made a feature
don't
film,
do it.
Seth?
Save yourself. I'm just kidding.
Incredible.
All
All right, so let me take you through how I finished off this shot. I rendered this at a surprisingly low resolution. Or not resolution, but I ended up kind of going with very, very low settings for everything. So I did, this is on low quality Redshift render because I just wanted to, and I rendered it out this morning, all 120 frames of it. Oh, I skipped the blood, huh?
You skipped the blood.
I skipped the blood, and just before this, I had promised that there will be blood. There would be blood.
There will be blood.
All
That's
right.
the Hashi promise.
We'll jump back and talk about some blood. I'll turn off the Redshift
Spider-Man
review
turned
right
off the
here.
Redshift.
You know what? I bet we could do this real fast. Here's what we'll do. I'm going to delete the blood. Everybody.
Spider-Man, delete the blood.
That sounds so sinister. I don't know
Spider-Man,
why.
delete the blood. By the way, I've started saying
Usually
in
they
addition
sound
to
very funny,
Spider-Man
innocent,
turn
but-
off. In addition to Spider-Man turn off, I've started saying Spider-Man into. So if like someone says we have to go into the car wash, I say Spider-Man into the car wash. It feels just as natural.
And then like the valet is like, so you want it? You want the car wash?
I like the idea. Yeah, Spider-Man being like, all right, Spider-Man into the car wash. And then just Peter Parker just driving into the car wash.
Constantly talking about himself in first person. All right. So let's bring the new exciting particle system into play here. So we've got everything animated, and it's hit by a rock, flies off like that. Pretty cool. Obviously, the thing that's going to be emitting the blood is this stump right here. This object right here is actually a landscape object set to spherical. Which is very fun. And then I threw this little blood texture on it. The blood texture I think is called like translucent plastic, and I turned it down. So here's what we need. If I go to simulate particles, I need a basic emitter right here. Let's switch to another view right here. This is the emitter shape. It's the square thing right here. But I don't really need a square. I would like a circle. And I think that the circle radius could be much smaller. It needs to be, about
real quick,
the size
Seth,
of the
Noseman wants you to change the scale of the ball as it's approaching your head. It says it should scale up as it approaches the camera.
It actually does, but I try not to scale it up too much because it's not a very big ball. It is.
Ooh.
It
Noseman
is.
Well, maybe it should
in
be
the chat.
Oh, yeah.
This
Hi,
big.
Noseman.
Hey, Noseman, how you doing?
Noseman, it's good to see you.
So let's see.
I've
This is
learned
how
some
big it is.
really cool stuff from Noseman this week that Seth knows about. I'm excited to share it with
Yes.
everyone once complete. And
All right,
yeah,
I'll make it a
Athanasius, I'm
little
excited
bit-
to show you what I've learned.
I'll make it a little
We're
bit
learning
bigger.
to script in Python for Cinema 4D.
Oh, hell yeah. I can't wait for everyone to see that. There's some very cool stuff happening. So
Okay.
it actually becomes
So,
too big, Noseman. So like now, but it's behind my head by the time it gets too big. So I think we're good.
There we go.
What? Oh, too big. I get it. All right.
Okay, basic emitter circle. I'll make it about this big. And at this point, I might as well actually move this emitter all the way into my glove and hand group. So it'll move along with its friends right here. I'm going to go to its coordinates and zero out its rotation and position. And now if I take a look at it, maybe I'll move it back and forth. Let's see, where is it? It looks like it needs to be at 90 degrees or maybe negative 90 degrees. And what is its radius like? I'm going to try to scale it to some point that when I take a look at this, oops, I misaligned it. There we go. Now we have a little particle emitter that is kind of sandwiched right here where some blood should be pouring out. For the blood pouring out, it's going to need a few keyframes. So let's go ahead and highlight the emitter. Under emission, I'm going to say it's enabled already, and it says it's starting at frame 0. I actually don't need it to start at frame 0. In this case, I'm going to have it start at frame 53. So we'll say start frame is 53. Actually, you know what? Let's just keyframe the rate instead. We'll change the rate from per second to per frame. And I'll put one keyframe right here where it will start. And then go back a few keyframes and set this to 0. And then now if I play, let's see what we've got here. 100 per frame. All right, sorry, I have to play this from the beginning, but I wanted to make sure it was set up. Boom. Look at that.
Yeah.
Chunk.
That's so cool looking.
It's so fun. Now, right now, if I go to the emitter, just like in particular or whatever, you can go to the properties of it, and you can see there's a velocity right here. So the blood is shooting out at 100 centimeters per second, which is not necessary. It's cool. But if I set it to 0, this would be a good example of something where, in theory, it's hit and just creates a trail behind itself. But there's no real momentum or anything like that to these. One thing that is very cool is that if you set it up at 0 speed inherently, you could go down here to the slider that says add velocitor, add emitter velocity.
Can we also say, real quick, let's talk about that. Veloster. There's a car called the Veloster. That's the name of it. And I am convinced that it's someone let their kid name the car, right? Like, it was like, bring your kid to work day, and they were like, what do you want to call it? It was like, the Veloster! And they're like, and then cut to, we now have a Veloster. Back to you, Hash. Sorry.
Thank you.
I don't know why I chose to go on that.
So, yeah, when you last were with us, we had set the speed of this emitter to 0, and I wanted to show you that if we go to the add emitter velocity, there are a couple of things we can do. One thing that's kind of cool is, if you set it up to like 50% to inherit the emitter's, velocity as this is happening, you'll see this. Cha-ching. And now we get a little bit more of a being cast out because this thing is spinning spray of blood. And I'm digging that. I feel like that's pretty cool. It might even be cooler than the one that I ended up with. Anyway, because look at that spread. That's really cool. So I like this. This is really wonderful, and I want to make it into something that renders in Redshift and looks like blood. So to do that, we're going to need a couple of our other friends, which are named the volume builder and a volume mesher right here. Let's start with the volume builder. I'm going to drag the basic emitter. Let me show you what I did here. The basic emitter will stay down here, but when I highlight the volume builder, it will show its little object container right here in the attributes. Since that's the last thing that I made active, I can go to somewhere else in the object menu and grab not my basic emitter, my particle group, and set it right there. Look at that. Now, I could also, in the object met, put the particle group as a child of the volume builder, but it's really nice to know that you can just open up this container and grab things even not parented or, children of the volume builder. They can still contribute to it. So obviously that created a bunch of huge voxels, but we're going to deal with that. Let's set this voxel size to much smaller. Let's try 0.5. And now we've got this, which looks very silly because that's not what the particles looked like before. And that is because if I highlight my particle group here in the volume builder, it is using its own made-up radius of 15 centimeters per object. Now, you can check this little box that says use particle size. And what's nice about that is that means if I'm in my particle properties here, I can set the radius from here of these. So if I mess with this and rebuild, we've got those. Actually, it might be in my particle group. I don't remember where it's sourcing that from. Either way, that made it smaller, and that's what we intended. Okay, yes. There we go. So that's where I was testing to see if I made it larger, what would happen. I'm going to make it 0.5 for the radius of these particles. Let me start at the beginning again and see if my voxel size of 0.5 gets rendered out like that. So you don't have to put your particles into, a volume builder, but I wanted them to look like space blood. So I wanted to put them in a volume builder so I could get to a cool shape like this spray right here. And then I wanted to put that volume builder in a volume mesher like we've done before. And now some cool magic happens. There's a threshold here for your
Digital magic.
voxels and how they get rendered out here. And look at this. You can kind of take the threshold, and I find that if you turn it up, you get these kind of cool little globules, and if you turn it down, you start to get these kind of like cool, splattery shapes, and I like that. The way the particle system works, you want to reset, go back to 0 and play from the beginning to see what happens with it each time. I'm going to hide my particle group
Unless you cache
so I can
it.
just look at what the volume builder is doing. And look at that. And honestly, this is pretty cool. I mean, that's a neat effect. So see the way it slows down like that over time? That is very, very cool as an effect, but also isn't very true to what would happen in space. So I could also go to the the simulation properties and turn the global damping off. What does that look like? Boom. That's more realistic, actually, for space. One thing my beautiful child, Sophia, was mentioning was that you could have this, try to have the blood look like it's freezing.
Hello, Sophia.
But something interesting to know about space is that even though cinematically it's really cool to see someone like freeze because they're out in space because you know that space is cold. It actually takes, there's nothing out there in space to draw your heat out, so it actually takes you a long time to cool down.
I
to
learned
the
this.
temperature of
I learned
space.
this really interestingly because I was wondering how do they heat like the space station. It turns out they don't have to heat the space station at all. In fact, what they have to have is air conditioners to keep it cool, because the body heat and of course the celestial heat from the sun and everything comes in, and there's nothing to draw it out of the space station. So they actually have to pump the heat out of the space station into into space basically. Because
and that is
while
your
space is
fact
technically cold.
of the show.
Well, because all temperature is molecules moving at various speeds, and space is a vacuum. So one could argue that there is no temperature in space at all, but that's a whole other thing.
Weird.
Jason
Weird,
Murphy
weird,
says
weird.
loves that Sophia is giving you feedback on the gore. Noseman is still on about the size of the ball. Says
Hello, Sophia.
What?
says
How
Noseman
can he
says,
even
"Did
see
Noseman
it?
has scanned, has reconstructed the scene.
Well, he's looking at the size of your. I'm assuming looking at the size of your head in the back, size of your head in the front. Anyway, I think it should be smaller in the back more than bigger in the front. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And Rumble
I
Rabbit.
think it should be more party in the back.
Rumble Rabbit is saying, "Hey, what workstations do you guys use for what you're doing?"
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember if.
I am. We talking about our computers?
Yes.
Probably.
I'm on an M1 Max, MacBook Pro from 2021 with 64 gigs of memory.
I'm on.
I am-
Oh, you go ahead, Hush.
Oh, I'm on an AMD Ryzen 9 3950 16 core, and I have a 2080 Ti NVIDIA card. So
And I'm running
this
a Dell
the system
laptop.
is showing its years, but still doing some pretty cool stuff.
Yes, the GPU in that system is still being able to handle Redshift and these particle renderings quite speedily. I'm on a Dell laptop with a Core i9 13950HX, 64 gigs of RAM, and an NVIDIA RTX 4080 generation laptop GPU, which is basically a laptop Quadro card. It's fine. It works. Jason Murphy is talking about how your head is now probably bigger since the glowing reviews from your film. So, of course, the ball would have to be big as well.
Nice. My neck cannot contain the weight. It is true.
So my final render here is this little TIFF sequence I have of the hand doing that.
And don't add us in the comments about him using TIFF. It's much faster to encode and decode than PNG is. We can get into a whole discussion about EXRs or not, but at least it's not PNGs,
I can't help
people.
that I use TIFF, okay? They're the only festival that accepted me. Oh, you're talking to Hashi? Nailed it. Thank you.
Boom. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, incredible.
Now that we're a little
stuff.
bit past the halfway point in the show, I do want to mention that right at the top, in case you're coming in late, we're talking about Mickey 17, an exciting sci-fi.
Good God,
I will say clone-ish, clone-centric kind of story. And so we are asking all of our fun VFX friends if they have ever created a cool clone shot or clone fight, or if they want to create one from scratch. Seth and I are going to be doing the same, creating our own digital, VFX-y clone shot of some sort. We'll try to outdo each other with some crazy cloniness. But if you have an old shot that you want to share with us or a new one, right there on the screen, go to maxonvfx.com/chillbox, and right there, one of the options that you can select is VFX and clone, and you can send us a link to your shot so we can share it next week on the show. Share that with us by Thursday, the 26th, the end of day. Is that right?
Sure.
And we'll make some social posts requesting this as well. VFX and Clone Challenge. Oh, look at that. There's the official thumbnail for this challenge right there.
It's so
innocent
thought
Seth
out.
just before getting taken out. Good commitment to the to the background Seth's performance of watching Seth fall to the ground.
All my takes before it were me still staring straight forward. Now my eye line is actually not good at the beginning. It's looking above where I actually am, but
I mean, you are tall.
that's true, but
That's true.
not that tall.
That is delightful, Seth. I
right.
love it. Excellent. So yeah,
I'm gonna try and
send
do a
in your
more
clones.
complex
Attack of the
clone shot.
clones.
I'm going to do a more complex shot for next week, hopefully. Now that I said it, I won't, but still, everyone go.
I mean,
submit.
like this one is very good and funny. Like it's straight to the point. Feel like the more complicated you make them, the harder they are on you, and also the maybe less rewarding they are. And
All right.
let's see. Can I ask how long?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Oh, absolutely. In fact, if I go over to here, I can go to my to my picture viewer window. Wait, why can I just want to go to that window. What am I doing? Right here in the picture viewer. Is this the? Oh, this is the one I rendered from. Fine. Anyway, yeah, I know the answer is, but it's about 19 seconds per frame on this. My settings are super low. So in my Redshift settings, I literally went to the lowest production settings, like 200 some. I just made up a number to dial us down. And also I turned down my transparency depth to 8 and combined to 3. And then it kind of looks like, I mean, I'm still running After Effects right now, but let me show you. I guess I don't want to override it. Sorry, let me just change where these are outputting to. This is something that there are some lovely, more in-depth versions of how to set up your Redshift renders that are way better than this. This is just my cheap, fast way to do it. So here we go. So it does the little irradiance point cloud first, and then starts filling it in. And I will say that even at these super low settings, like look at the bokeh on the highlights in the background and stuff like that. And it applies, the full thing. So, if I were to look at this, it's not, tremendously high quality. I have no idea how well it'll come across on the stream or whatever. It's a little bit grainier. It's a little bit, like there are fewer samples happening and things like that. Luckily, I really did not notice any huge drawbacks when I did finally bring it into After Effects to take a peek at it. I feel like it feels adequate, and I actually thought that the graininess kind of helped it. I did a couple of things in here. I added a space background right here to some stars. On that layer of stars, they're all parented to a null that's moving from the scene for that little handheld drift. And then on the actual little Milky Way stars image, I added a universe gradient ramp, setting the transparency actually pretty low. So it's the alpha is only 15% for the top here, and then it fades to 0 just to give it kind of a bleed from the top look. And then on top of that, I added a black solid with an instance of real lens flares. And once real lens flares is on there, you can see it's kind of subtle in the final shot, but I have this nice lens flare that kind of goes through and does these cool little chromatic separations across this whole thing. And then I rendered all that out, and as a second pass, I looked back at the original shot and I was like, oh, here's the original. There's some flare stuff going on. They did this really cool thing where it looks like they're doing the in-camera flare from objects in the scene as it moves around.
Yeah.
Really cool. And so what I did for mine is I threw it into Super Comp.
Hold for applause.
Such a good drop. One of my favorite tools to use. I could rave about Supercomp, but go ahead.
Fun. So fun. So let's see. I'll turn this. I ended up adding a couple of additional layers. I wanted this bespoke heads-up display thing right here. I think in the original it says suit integrity. And I assume that's probably like 99% or something like that. And then the hand gets chopped off, but you lose it in the rack. So I don't know if there's a second visual gag to saying that you've lost your hand. But in mine, I decided to just very quickly layer up a couple of text layers that say VFX and Shell 1000%, and then I threw them into this shot. Applied a matte choker because I actually thought that they were a little bit too wide, like that. And then I added some universe bokeh. And bokeh is fun because it's just this nice, fast little blur tool. I think I set it to, I left it on circle. So right there, it's like that. And then as soon as the rack focus happens, it racks almost invisibly, invisible when it shifts right here. I also added some universe chromatic aberration right there to give it that, chromatic separation at the edges. So it kind of looks like it's on, the inside of the helmet reflecting or whatever, however that works. And then lastly, sorry, there are so many steps. I had this grime layer.
Hashi's quote on his gravestone, "Sorry, I did so much for you."
Yeah, sorry, there were so many steps.
For the rest of this gravestone, you can see, please see the attached. Goodness, where was I going? Oh yeah, there's this grime layer right here, which is actually it does have an alpha channel like that, and all of those get thrown into super comp, where the the HUD is additive, and the grime is an adjustment layer, which means that I can use it to blur pixels in here. It's very subtle, but there are a couple little spots like this. I'll zoom in way on this little one right here. You can see that there are these little things that are like on the helmet, and so like as the glove gets close to these pieces of grime, the light starts to get taken into them. And that is very small within the shot, but what it kind of gives the impression of is little bits of junk on the inside of this space helmet for this stuff to reflect off of. And you can use the luminance value of whatever your layer is to blur things when you have it set to adjustment. And whatever the alpha is will be used as a matte for whatever color correction you want to do. So in this case, I am boosting the darkest value. So if I boost them all the way up, you can see all of the grime and stuff like that. And what's neat about it is that you can see if the suit moves behind this schmutz right here, photographically, it looks really, really cool. Like you can sort of imagine what is happening there. This is obviously too much, but it gives you an idea of what all you can do with this. So I have it turned way down, so you just get the impression of a little bit of glass texture. And then on top of that all, even though Super Comp looked pretty good, I added a little combo that's one of my favorites, and I think they have something pretty similar in the trailer. Some optical glow, just bloom all of those highlights like that, which looks really fun, and renoiser on my favorite preset, which is image vitamins. And what I like about renoiser is the way that it does noise is it's not just an overlay pattern of noise on top of everything. Each of the pixels literally is responding to a few of the pixels around it. So like the brightness of this one is likely influenced by being next to a bright spot. And so it's like a simulation.
Yeah,
of
it's
film
building,
grain, which is really cool.
It's rebuilding the underlying image out of film grain based on the settings you've got. It's so much more powerful than people realize. I love it so much. And Michael Powlek says, "Great job, Hashi. You really ran the gauntlet on this."
Out.
And Rumble Rabbit has some questions about the rendering. Regular Geo is in his scene. He didn't have to make proxies or anything, but asking about the particles. So here's the interesting thing. Ideally, you cache particles simulations and regular simulations before you render, so you don't have your GPU trying to work on simulating and rendering at the same time. So once the particles are cached, it's just reading the particle information off disk and then rendering them like the regular Geo. So you don't have to worry about if you've got particles or not in your scene. It just works very nicely. Now, if you are wanting particles to be something besides, kind of fluid like Hashi did with the OpenVD-based mesher, the volume mesher, and you want it to be like Geo flying around, then you would use Redshift's instancing to make, however many hundreds of thousands of particles you want, but still keeping the memory size very low. And it works very nicely with Cinema 4D's particles to just have Redshift instance crap. And you can have multiple things being instanced onto the particle, so each particle is getting a random thing. So yeah, hopefully that answers your questions.
That was a great answer for that, Michael. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sofian Mujahed wants to say, what's this swirly scripts thing we see flying around in the background?
Ooh.
That's once again just my...
Not for you. I'm just kidding.
No, it's my... It's my panel that has a bunch of scripts that I've written that help me get things done quicker. It has my layer library. It has render presets and like render destination presets. It quickly adds guide LUTs. It has my fun app called Colorly that lets me. So let's just real quick add a gradient ramp to this guy and give it some color, because if it's white and black, Colorly won't leave it alone. So if I just say blue and green, And let's say I have another solid. And I'm going to apply another ramp to it. I'm just going to copy and paste that one, actually. And then let's say I want to try out a bunch of different color palettes on this comp. I'll open up Colorly, and I'll just go through some of these color palettes, this is with the help of... Oh, I'm forgetting his name. Something Ninja. He's incredible. Made this incredible color script down
Boy
here.
Ninja?
What?
Was it Good Boy Ninja?
Yes. Good Boy Ninja is it's a color panel that he made or they made, and I am referencing the JavaScript file that saves these color palettes, but then everything in this panel I built myself, and it lets you go through and roll dice on color palettes, and it changes all the colors within this. So I like how that looks, so I'll apply it, and that's part of Whirly script. So there's tons of other stuff in here. There's it automatically quickly applies particular. I can stabilize camera, add camera shake, a bunch of fun stuff, and then just render with one click out here. And I can purge the cache with this button, which is something I feel After Effects should already have. It's just a big purge cache button.
So it's just a tool that Seth built to help him get his work with his workflow easier.
Exactly.
It's not likely to be released to the public.
No,
we've
been saying this for multiple years, though, that we want to make a VFX and chill panel that has all the scripts that I've made, Hashi's made, a bunch of, and we've started work on it. I've started designing it, and then we get distracted with other things because we both have raging ADHD, and no medication can stop us. We are irredeemable and unsavable.
Yeah, what you don't know is that we produced 4 shows worth of random stuff and have to land on one by the end of each week. It's wild.
You wouldn't think it
everybody.
Watching the show, but he's right.
It's true. It's true.
It's stupid.
I did want to mention the one last beautiful compositing thing that I threw in here, which is a very Hashi thing to add, which was right here when the blood, sprays out. It's not crazy readable. And so what I decided to add was my good old friend, CC Light Sweep.
Light Sweep! Oh my God, look at it. Look how different and better it is.
Now, CC Light Sweep is made to put a glint, a diagonal glint across text or something like that.
How should I use it?
But for me, it is a relighting pipeline built into After Effects, because what it's doing is you pick a point, and then it makes this band that goes straight across. As I move this up and down, it will just color, light up these things on this layer with some light. And in this particular case, this angle right here, I felt looked a little bit like a backlit blood here, and you have separate numbers for how intense the general light from the sweep is and how bright the edges get hit by it. So if you have no edges on, it looks like that. If I have edges about halfway, you get this little rim light on all these little drops of blood. And by setting the position and the width and angle at about right, I just have it come on right there. So this little spray goes out and has this kind of backlit, very visible moment before it becomes too spread out.
It looks so good, dude. It's so stupid how good that looks.
Thank you so much. I am
It's
quite
stupid.
proud of the how
All
this
of it.
all turned out. This optical glow might be a little strong. I might turn this down to 1.
So
I just want it to be a little bit reactive to the overlays on that. But for a Hashi rendered, traditionally very, you've seen the things that I render, folks.
you know how dumb it looks.
But I am proud of this. I like it.
You should
Yeah,
be.
you should be. It was so good. Well, I first saw it, on when you posted, I was like, "Why are you just posting a clip from the movie?"
Yes, me
Yeah,
too.
if you saw the thing that
Me
I
too.
posted earlier, I cut it into the movie.
And
Said we were going to recreate it,
cuts
but that was
just fine.
my version. Ha ha ha.
It's so good.
All right,
So
Jason
you
says,
gotta,
if any
you gotta put
consola-
you gotta put a little hashtag on it and stitch it with mine so Michael can share it, can share our stuff ASAP.
Incredible. Oh, yes. Let me, I'll render this version out.
While you're working on that, MI Motive is saying, how did you guys get into visual effects? And how long have you been doing this profession? They're 32 and are looking to change the careers, but a little scared to learn anything from scratch. I mean, I've been working in visual effects since somewhere around 2002, I would say. Somewhere in there, 2002, 2003 is when I started learning After Effects, and I started goofing around with it.
I
Seth, Hashi?
have been doing visual effects. Well, I've been making home movies like since I was a kid, in which I would do a lot of in-camera exploration and experimentation. I would also experiment with effects that you can create with you can do with linear to linear, like, video to video editing decks and video feedback and stuff. But when it comes to actually what we're talking about here probably is modern software visual effects. I was doing things in Final Cut Pro for a long time in my 20s. Just like cheaply compositing things in a Final Cut Pro timeline. But then and that includes creating like text and graphics and things and like filming flashlights on a ceiling and blowing out the contrast and making it look like some kind of motion graphic thing. But it was when I was, so I'm 40 now. It was when I was 25 or 26. I think I was 25. I started messing with Apple Motion for a year. I don't know if that's even still a thing.
It is.
Okay.
And Red Giant Universe tools work in it.
Perfect. So I had started
Wouldn't
with
you
Motion
know?
for a year, and then I transitioned to After Effects using just literally learning from Andrew Kramer's from VideoCopilot.net, Andrew Kramer's tutorials, and within a year of trying After Effects for the first time, and before that only a year of using Apple Motion. So this is 2 years of actually trying visual effects based software. I had made this smoke monster thing that Arn Rabinowitz at Red Giant saw, and invited
Using
me to make
Trapcode
a plot
particular.
device. So I was teaching it within 2 years of picking it up and learning it. So the truth is, I've been interested in visual effects. I've been interested in filmmaking, and visual effects to me is a fundamental foundational part of it. So I've been interested in that my whole life, but doing visual effects, it took me 2 years to get to a confident place to where I felt like I was making things that were worth other people seeing. So I think nothing should be stopping you from playing and experimenting and trying and getting better. And you don't want to make the career jump before you've tried this and before you've been learning and stuff. But it says in here, your comment, you said you're decent in After Effects. So if you're decent in After Effects, just keep learning and keep getting better and making stuff and showing it to people. And that is the extent of my knowledge of how to get into the industry, because I got really Forrest Gump level lucky with.
What about you, Hashi?
I mean, I think, yeah, starting out with After Effects is actually a decent point, and I didn't see, was that the name? I didn't see your comment on our VFX and Chill channel.
No, that
so I do
comment
invite
was
you to
on a
come
different
join
channel,
us on this channel, because Seth and I talk a lot about visual effects that are very effects centric. It's an unusual approach in a way, but the point is using pretty accessible tools. And so yeah, I learned to use After Effects a long time ago. I think in 2000, probably 1999 or 2001-ish is when I started. I know that by the end of 2001, I'd been using it for a year and a half or something like that. So
that's when you made A Space Odyssey.
It is. It's remarkable. A lot of After Effects, but yeah, it's just been a lovely hobby of mine to keep on messing around with After Effects and whatever VFX I could fake most of the time. So I just made up a lot of what I did. and ended up sort of getting some cool work from it over time. And now I'm working for the people who make the tools that I used to use all the time for stuff. So
Speaking of
career
these tools,
trajectories are weird.
Did you all have a chance last week? Because I was at Camp MoGraph, so I wasn't here for the show. Did we talk about the new release that came out last
Michael,
week?
that sounds like a great thing for you to do. In fact, if you want to share your screen and show stuff off, we can give you the mic.
I'll share I can share my screen in a bit. But for those who missed it, last Tuesday at VFX or at Maxon released a whole bunch of new things into the world, including updates to Cinema 4D, Redshift, and all the Red Giant tools. Let's start talking about, I think, Cinema 4D first. There's a bunch of things that came out in Cinema 4D, like just improving simulations, improving particle stuff.
Are you sharing your screen yet?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about any of it yet.
Okay, let me just give me a verbal cue.
Yeah. So, like particles, you now have stuff like basic emitter shape point instead of having to take, a rectangle, put it down tiny. Like it's a bunch of really good workflow stuff, but also stuff like the follow spline modifier. So now you can have your particles like get attracted to and follow a spline around, which is great for motion graphics-y stuff. But there's a bunch of other stuff came through in particles that were also very handy. Pyro got some updates too for sparse surface, sparse volume emission types, and shredding controls have been added, which lets you just gives you more control over what happens in the simulation, which is neat. Simulation stuff like force object is now supported by rigid bodies, so they can be attracted to each other. So you make cool little clumpy like animations where they're like you got all your clones and they just kind of into like little clusters and like all kinds of fun stuff. Another big one is that if you're wanting to spew rigid bodies out of a particle emitter, now the rigid bodies will inherit properties from the particles.
I was saying to Seth just the other day, I wish I could. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like so, but basically, if you want to have particles emitting something that's going to then just be rigid bodies, they'll inherit the properties from the particles. So before, in other versions of Cinema 4D, when a particle would emit, and then rigid body physics would take over, it would just suddenly become as if it were spawned from a cloner in that area. So now it actually takes on the velocity and the rotation, everything from the particles. So it's actually does what you expect it to, want it to do.
We're talking about rigid body dynamics.
Rigid body, yes, exactly. And there's other changes like better USD import, export, things like that. Scene nodes improvements, OCIO color, some significant improvements for your getting your color into and out of it. So if you've got brand colors, for example, you can actually, but you're working in this like linear color space, it actually is easier to transfer. But the thing that I want to talk about, there's variance is now added to the tracer, variable length. Anyway, there's two things I want to talk about that are in the update that are really hard to put into marketing, but that I think are very, very, very useful. So if you hop over to my screen, I've got this scene here. Cool. Is from the asset browser. If you just type in, let me see here. Let me swap over to my Wacom tablet. So if you go to the asset browser and you type in motion graphics, there's a bunch of really cool little motion graphic scenes in here you can grab. So I just grabbed this one. To demonstrate, if I go up here to Window, and then I go to Object Profiler. This is brand new to Cinema 4D. This is like Oscar in After Effects, that lovely little snail that tells you how slow your thing is and what's causing things to be slow. As you're playing through here, it shows you, hey, this particular spline mask that's the thing that's taking the longest to calculate in my scene. Which, to be fair, the scene's not very heavy, so things, it's not like it's chugging. That is if you have a scene so that is useful. Chugging, you can find out, hey, what's causing the slowdown? In this case, this spline mask across all the frames, takes this long to render. You can specify, how it's being viewed and stuff like. So I've got set to all frames. Last execution will be a little more jittery, but it's just showing frame by frame. This is how long everything's taken to calculate. So it's a really good way to troubleshoot your scenes. And again, not very flashy for marketing, but when you start building a big complex scene, this is a game changer for trying to just figure out what's going on. What do I need to work on optimizing or finding a different workflow for? The other thing I want to talk about is these little tags right here. They are called field driver tags. So in the olden days, this scene I've got set up here. I've got a cloner. I've got two clones inside of it, two little cubes cloned inside of it. One is got a very small fillet radius and is a cube. The other is and has a much bigger fillet radius on it. And then I've got this linear field affecting on this this effector here that's set to just modify clones. The only thing this effector is doing is modifying the clone. So when I move this field through, I should point out my cloner is in blend mode. So what it does is, if I move the field through, it will blend between that clone and that clone. Because it's all the exact same, you just get this lovely little morph from one to the other. But the problem is, it's just blending from one clone to the other. What if I wanted to be able to control how tall they are and how filleted they are? Filleted? Filleted they are.
The filleted man will pass.
Yeah, exactly. But what if I want to control them separately? Well, you really can't easily in the old system. But now, heaven has heard our cries. You can do that with the field driver tag. And yes, Justin Leduc, I see you in the chat. Rocket Lasso, who I do want to point out has a very good video series talking about all of the new things that are in Cinema 4D. And if you use Cinema 4D and are interested in the new stuff, I would highly recommend checking out his overview video. The link for that should be showing up in your chats shortly. But yes, he also released a plugin that he'd been working on for a year and a half that did this exact same thing, the field driver tag. Now, I'll say his does it in a slightly different way. And for some setups, this one's going to be one you want to use. But in other setups, his tool might work better for you. But also, he released some new fields for Cinema 4D as well that are going to be useful in any context, especially if you missed the signal from Grayscale Gorilla. Field driver tags plus Chris Schmidt's Rocket Lasso's new tool set is great. But anyway, here's how it works. In my cube, I only have one cube under my cloner, you'll notice. And this cloner is in just regular old iterate mode because there's only one thing, it doesn't matter. But the cube has field driver tags on it. And you'll see the parameters for height and fillet radius are now pink instead of the old keyframe red color. And that means this property is being driven by a field driver tag. And this field driver tag, you can right click and under animation tags, you've got the field driver tag right there. Then you drag whatever parameter you want up onto it. And then under the parameters, you say the minimum and the maximum, and then whatever recipe of fields you want to drive it. In this case, I've just got two linear fields here. So if I drag this linear field through, it controls the height. I've got this linear field here. I drag it through, it controls the filleting. So you've got separate controls for everything. And now this is like the missing piece to really, really, really make fields like what you want them to be. Because fields, remember, they can drive regular things like effectors, so positions, scale, rotation, all that kind of stuff. In cloners, now they can drive individual parameters, but they can also drive vertex maps. They can drive polygon selections and point selections, and so fields can control pretty much everything in Cinema 4D. So I can have one random field driving, everything in a scene if you wanted to. It's crazy. So those are like my two top features. Cinema 4D, neither of which is very flashy or marketable, but both of them, especially this field driver tag, extremely powerful for doing your MoGraphy. There are also, like I said, a bunch of updates to Maxon's tools with as regards to the red giant-y end of things. May close Cinema 4D here, and I'll pop open After Effects. So I need to go off my screen for just a second because I'll be probably chatting to camera more for this.
After Effects beta.
Oh yeah, it looks very aggressive. It's that new splash screen startles me every time.
Speaking of splash screens, the 2025 Cinema 4D one.
Yeah.
Who's it by? Mario?
It's very flashy. Mario trying to fuck.
Very cool.
Yes.
Right.
He is an amazing particle artist, and the new splash screen from Cinema 4D has one of his pieces in it, and it is just gorgeous.
Can you say his name again?
Mario Tran Fook.
That sounds more like a name. Great.
Mario Tran Fook.
Great. I heard something else. Now I like that.
Oh, no, it's fine. Universe didn't get much in the way of updates this go round. Unmold is on the new framework. That's about it. I should say you'll notice from I said that it's on the new framework that there is a new framework for universe tools, and as you might guess, it's likely that a lot more tools are going to get ported onto it. It should be faster, more stable, all that kind of great stuff. But Unmult is one of the early ones to be on there, and because it's it's one of those effects that is not flashy, but everybody uses it.
Not flashy, but everybody uses it.
Now Maxon Magic Bullet got a very brand new tool.
Digital magic.
Every time.
Careful here.
Parametric curve plugin that is very technical but very useful, especially if you say, for example, you've got iPhone footage and you know roughly what iPhone's little lookup table curve looks like. You can put that same curve into parametric curve and then do a duplicate of it and hit reverse. So your footage won't look any different because you have, you did a curves effect basically, and then you undid the curves effect. But what that means is you can then sandwich other color correction and color grading tools between those two, and you'll have a much more realistic response to those controls, like warming it up, cooling it down. It's kind of like redoing aces almost, but just in your After Effects effect stack. It's pretty neat. Very powerful, and you get like point level controls for each point on the curve, like in your effects control panel. They can be keyframed. Like it's just a very, very powerful effect for folks who are like really deep into color grading workflows. Not much happened to VFX Sweep. Maxon Studio. Those of you who don't know, Maxon Studio is like a template engine for After Effects with very easy controls. Has got a bunch of updates to make actual day-to-day working with it easier. So you can like rename your instances of it. So instead of being slideshow pink, whatever pink slideshow
Bob.
Bajillion copies of it.
Bob.
You can name your instances of things, so you kind of keep track of them. You can also set presets. So if you're using some of the templates, but you've customized the heck out of them for using like your brand colors and your certain motions and all this kind of stuff, you can actually save a preset of it that you can then just use over and over, share with your team, that kind of stuff. Like big workflow level stuff has been added. So Maxon Studio's got a couple of nice updates in that area, but especially saving your own presets is a big one. And for me, being able to name my stuff, because I love being able to name stuff so you can see at a glance what it is. But the big updates for Red Giant really happened in Trapcode. Some of it is in Red Giant Geo. Now you can hop over to my screen here. Some people on Instagram were a little bit grumpy about this one because like, why guns? This is inspired by a TV show motion graphics about a cartel, and they were not using flowers to kill people. So this graphic is done with guns. But this is showing off the really cool new feature that in Red Giant Geo, which lets you clone 3D models in After Effects. You can have them now orient towards or away from the center, which is a very nice feature that I'm a big fan of. It was one of the things I asked for immediately. So you can have your clones like point in towards the middle, which is great. And then, where's my other one? This one? Is this the other one I was talking about? Now you can have random colors on your models. Let me pop into, let's see, Geo here. To my effect controls. Under Geo, you can see on my cloner, you can pick, do you want one tier? Just isolate Geo here. You can, before you can only have one material per clone, but now you can have up to 5 different materials per clone, and it's, all these materials. And as you change the random seed under your clone randomizers, you can, randomly pick different, just cycles through to which different ones of these clones. Anyway, it's very handy that you can have different clones. But my biggest favorite feature, you can go away from me. I don't have anything flashy to show for this one. One of my biggest favorite features that in Trapcode in particular for a long time, like you all know how much I love the flocking and what it lets you do, but this is a big one. So now that you can have 16 different systems in Trapcode in particular, all influencing each other, all working in the same 3D space and chasing each other around and making trails and all that stuff. Sometimes when you're inside the Trapcode Designer, which is really the best way to work now for complicated things, you get, you start working and getting complicated. You're like, well, After Effects could crash in the background, or I might be doing something crazy in Crash Trapcode in particular. It's getting complicated. I don't want to lose all this work. So you have to, commit your, go accept the changes you've made in the Trapcode Designer to go back into After Effects, hit save, and then relaunch the designer, wait for that to go. And, even though it only takes a couple seconds to do that, it breaks your creative flow. Now, right inside the Trapcode particular designer, there's a save After Effects project button right there. So you can stay in the designer, keep on working, and then just save your work. It's great. Like it's just such it saves your sanity as well as your After Effects project file, I like to say.
Just in the nick of time.
That's some of the new features that came out
crazy
last
updates.
week.
Huge crazy updates. Thank you, Michael,
goodness.
so much for giving us that breakdown. I know we're about to leave for the show, but I do want to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Was it a monkey? I bet it was a monkey.
It wasn't a monkey. I thought you went to school.
Federal school? No, teaches how the government failed to prevent a pandemic.
But no one knows for sure, but best guess, cordyceps mutated. Some of it got into the food supply, probably a basic ingredient like flour or sugar. There were certain brands of food that were sold everywhere, all across the country, across the world. Bread, cereal, pancake mix. You eat enough of it, it'll get you infected. So the tainted food all hits the store shelves around the same time Thursday. People bought it, eat some Thursday night or Friday morning. Day goes on. They started to get sick. Afternoon, evening, they got worse. Then they started biting it.
So stupid that we
That
played
last
all
season
of
of the Mandalorian got so bleak.
It did get so bleak.
It's stupid. All of it.
All right. Any last words, boys, before we take a break for the week?
Please, 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 if you've ever made a clone or doubles VFX shot, send it to us via the maxonvfx.com chill box link right there. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was a really fun way to explore some of the some of the effects in Mickey 17. And next week we are going to do even more.
Yes, and we're going to watch your stuff, so go make some clones, submit them down there, and we'll watch them on the show and make fun of you. And enjoy them and talk about them. Hey, everybody. Also, if you're watching this on another channel that's not our VFX and Chill YouTube channel, go to youtube.com/@VFXandChill and subscribe and watch there. And because otherwise, they'll fire us forever. Bye, everybody.